Hello and welcome to the EndurHaus podcast. I'm Porter Withers and I'm joined by Brad and Ryan. We are super glad to have them. They are known as the Grit Guys on Instagram, so be sure to go follow them and everywhere else. All right. So, welcome, you guys. Super excited to have you.
Thank
Excited to
you.
be here.
Awesome. Okay, so, tell the audience who don't know you, what are you guys famous for? What are you training for? And just how did you get started?
Well, I don't know if we're famous just yet, but we're trying to build something big. Um, so we're two college students, go to the University of Florida, and we are training for Ironman Panama City Beach in November.
That's awesome. Very cool. And so tell everyone like some of your background. What have you done so far that has led you towards doing this full Ironman?
Yeah. So basically late last year, 2025, we had a buddy who signed up for a Spartan race. It was like a 10K Spartan race, and he convinced us to sign up with him. And so we signed up and we loved it. We got that like adrenaline spike that we had been like missing from like the old days of high school sports when you're like, for me, I was a wrestler, so like getting on the mat. For Brad, he played baseball and football, so like getting out in the field. And following that, we loved it so much that we signed up for a half marathon Spartan race, which we did together in early December. I believe that's correct.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then like about 2 months ago, Brad texted me because there was a local marathon going on. We had been training, we'd been running. We probably weren't marathon ready with the distances we had covered, but we were doing a lot of running throughout the week, just not that length at one time. And so he texted me and he's like, dude, I'm gonna sign up for a marathon. And I was like, really, bro? Like now I have to sign up.
Yep,
So one thing led to another. We did the marathon, gave us the boost we needed, and here we are. Now we're ready to conquer an Ironman.
that's so awesome. That's very cool. And so why was that the challenge you wanted to take on? I mean, there's things like 100-mile or ultra marathons. There are, qualifying for Boston or things like that. Why was the Ironman the thing that you wanted to level up to?
I think it's something that's always been in the back of our minds, especially with social media these days. You kind of see it everywhere. You're like, if you're on that side of TikTok or
Yeah.
Instagram, you're seeing all these guys go through it and you see like the pure raw emotion at the end of the finish line when they're like, I got that done. And it's something I've kind of been looking for a couple of years now, as Ryan going back to the competitive aspect of just going through a grind for a couple months, putting your head down and getting stuff done, and then having it all culminate to one climax at the end of just being like, wow, like I did that. You went through,
Yeah.
the hard times, the good times, and that's something I want to get a feel for.
hmm That's awesome. How did you get a taste of that when you did the marathon? And like how did that race go? Was it like a total success and you ran across the finish line and you were like, heck yeah? Or, tell more of the story of your first marathon.
Yeah. So, like I said, we signed up on somewhat short notice, so we were definitely a little bit undertrained. But we're in good shape, so we had been running. Yeah, I guess like Brad said, it was like we really did train for the Spartan half marathon. We did like a lot of stuff because a lot of that stuff is like grip strength stuff, endurance wise. Um, and there's like obstacles and stuff. So we did like about a month and a half of like training for that with a fair amount of running. And then yeah, we were still running and the marathon was great. It was definitely a confidence builder, I would say. And it was kind of like the culmination of like a year really where we had been consistently running because we
Yeah.
started running about a year before that. So it was like now we kind of get to put that into action. And I think to Brad's point about it, like kind of becoming that climax, like you definitely like it was a small, super small marathon. Um,
Mhm.
yet somehow you like still felt that like sense of like you had like reached the top of the mountain basically.
Yeah.
And I was like dragging my legs to the finish line with like every ounce I had in me.
Yep.
Um, but it was still that like culmination of all the like effort for the past year really that we've been running.
Yeah, and to add to that, like without throughout that marathon, it was just like an awesome experience as well. Like the whole time, like I think we paced it a little slow at the start, like we were very conservative,
Mm,
like
sure.
just going very slow because we have no clue what's gonna happen down the line.
Yeah.
So we were just saving up for that, but just all throughout, we were fired up. We're hyping people up. We're like, let's go.
Yeah.
And that was an awesome feeling. And yeah, I think around like it was like mile like 22 where we
Yeah.
were like, oh, this is the real deal. We were like,
Hmm.
this is where the pain cave started coming in.
Yep.
Quads felt like they had nothing left. And
Hmm.
that's when I like really felt like, wow, like this is endurance sports right here. It's like it's that fourth quarter where it's either you win or you lose. That's it. You either finish or you're mentally just like you're fighting a battle all throughout those last couple miles. So feeling that was amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's very cool. What has been the most surprising thing as you've transitioned to more endurance sports that either was surprising just because it was different, surprising because maybe it was the same as the other sports you had done? What's been something that's been surprising as you've started this journey?
I think how much time and effort goes into the bike part of the
Mm,
triathlon of the
okay.
Ironman.
I would
Um,
I would second that.
I,
Go ahead.
I think we didn't realize how much time in terms of like driving to get fitted, driving to get the bike,
Hmm.
um, all the different accessories that go with the bike, the fueling that goes with
Sure.
the bike. So that was definitely something new, especially because both of us have never cycled before in our lives.
Hmm.
And we started cycling literally just a couple weeks ago. So yeah,
That's
definitely,
awesome.
definitely the amount of time that goes in, and as well as the training that goes into the bike too.
Hmm.
It's the longest training sessions.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
say I guess one thing that kind of surprised me, maybe not surprised me, but like that really interested me was how regimented everything is. Like
Sure.
we have a we're working with a coaching service. So everything is like meticulously like planned out. And
Hmm.
even in these first like this first month to 2 months, like before me and Brad would be like, okay, let's run 7 miles today. No reason, no rhyme or reason behind
Yeah.
it. We were like, let's just go run 7 miles.
Hmm.
And now it's very clear to me everything is super intentional.
Yeah.
Like there's a
Yeah, good
speed
stuff.
workout this way, there's a long ride this day. And I think that part is super like eye-opening because it really shows you like how little you know.
Mm, sure. That totally
Right.
makes sense.
I agree with that too. It's like you could tell like everything is calculated. And they even like when they put the rest days, like the rest days are there for a reason. So your legs are fresh for either a long bike ride or
Mhm.
a long run. So yeah, it is it that I agree too. Like understanding like the mechanical aspect of endurance sports with like your joints and everything from doing the speed workouts to the endurance and aerobic aspect is very cool to see the combination of both.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's very cool. Yeah, that's one of those things that you don't know until you dive into it, right? And, just like seeing it all come together. But when you have a solid plan, it's really cool how after a couple weeks you already start to like feel more confident and like feel like, wow, I can do stuff that I didn't think I could do before. So that's really cool. Very fun. So what's been your longest bike ride so far?
Uh,
Um,
um, it was a 2 hour, 20-minute bike ride,
Okay.
which isn't that long, but that is our longest bike ride now.
Yeah.
Early in the session. I think it was like what it was like 40 miles we did.
yeah, a little, I think it was like 45 almost.
45.
Yeah.
But
Right.
We're
yeah,
early on.
yeah.
Yeah,
Obviously
totally.
obviously I think this is like kind of side note, but like um like this is a pretty long, we gave ourselves a lot of time.
Hmm.
Like we're really doing a structured like 9 to 10 month training block.
Hmm.
That like it's a lot of time. And we kind of recognize like how novice we are in terms of like understanding all this and what goes into it. So I think to Brad's point, yeah, 2.5 hour bike ride. I think we were both completely fine with it. If you asked us to go for 4 hours, we'd go for 4 hours.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Um, but
right.
if he has to go for six, we go for six. But yeah, it's that, as you know, well, it's that like long-term buildup, and we have a lot of time. We're
yeah,
not we're not ready to dive into a 6 hour bike ride for no real purpose. Like I said,
yeah,
everything's
yeah.
intentional.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's all everyone starts from somewhere and giving yourself that longer time thing is going to make it so that I mean, one, you're less injury prone, right? Two, you have the ability to build up, have some more experiences and stuff like that, and that all benefits you on race day. You don't want to be experiencing new things. You will to a certain extent because you just can't do a full Ironman in training to get ready for it. But, there's a lot of things that you can pre-experience so that when you're in the race, you're like, okay, I know what to do now. I feel like this, so this is what I have to do. So, yeah,
Yeah,
that totally makes sense.
Right. And I think
Very
both our
cool.
mindsets are in the fact that like we're big on like throw us in the water in the deep water and we either sink or
Yeah.
swim. But with that being said, we don't like to rush stuff. Like we'll do
Hmm.
new things, but we want to do them right. So
Yeah.
having this amount of time is I think is good for us.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's
Mhm.
very cool. So, okay, I'm curious. I saw in your recent video you were asking people what grit meant to them. So I'd love to hear from each of you. What does grit mean to you?
Yeah.
Brad, you want to go? Yeah, go ahead.
So what grit means to me is you have a purpose, you have a goal, a long-term goal, a long-term outcome that you're looking to go through. And no matter what needs to be done, you're gonna get those steps done without any question. You're gonna find a way. When there's a will, there's a way. And
Totally.
yeah, under any conditions, you're gonna get stuff done to achieve that greater outcome, greater goal.
Love
That's
it.
very cool. I like that.
For me, I would say like grit is more like callousing the mind, basically. Like,
Okay.
um, like I think about like, today I woke up this morning and I swam, right? Like you don't want to wake up every morning and swim. But if you do it once, right? And then you do it a second time and a third time, your mind becomes like calloused to that
Hmm.
almost like desire not to do. And
Hmm.
so over a long period of time, what you do is you build this resistance to difficult things and you're able to see past like those mental barriers. And I think for both of us, like this is way more, and I think most people would agree with this, in terms of grit, this is way more mental than it is physical.
Yeah.
Um, like I want to go out there and like build my brain so it's hardened and like I can
Hmm.
take on anything. And I think that's what grit is all about. You're gonna be able to take on anything that's ahead of you. And that's like kind of part of the reason why we came up with grit guys was because it was like,
That's awesome.
we're newer to the sport, but we're
Hmm.
gonna we're gonna take on this challenge and we're gonna do it and we're not gonna bat an eye. We're not gonna skip a workout. Um, we're gonna callous the mind. That's it.
Yeah. That's yeah, I totally agree. And I would say you probably grow your grit more on the days that you don't want to do the thing and you do it than on the days that you're excited about it and you're jumping in, fully excited.
Yeah.
That's not the day that you build grit. It's great that sometimes we have those days and we, are grateful for the workouts, but then on the days that we don't want to do it, that's when grit is actually built. I totally agree
Yeah.
with that.
And that's a real thing too. I saw somewhere where when there's a task you don't want to do and you do it, it actually like I don't know what part of the brain it's called, but it strengthens something in your brain that like
Yeah.
it makes it easier the next time for that task. And it's just you build it up.
Totally agree. That's awesome. Very cool. Okay, so who are some of the people that you look up to, either in the endurance space or other spaces that have helped you like learn grit?
I'm gonna go with my high school football coach. Um,
Okay.
he was like a old school lifter, old school type
Hmm.
of guy. Like he just got stuff done. Like we were
Yeah,
we were in the weight room, and it was just like it wasn't like a nice weight room. It was just a weight room, and he showed that like no matter what type of equipment you have, no matter, where you are, like you could get things done if you want to get them done. And, he taught me about just consistency, doing the boring stuff every day, and just hard work. So definitely my high school coach, and especially about character too. He was very respectful. He taught us how to act, um, how to behave around people. So that as well, character and discipline and doing hard work.
that's awesome. Love that.
Yeah, I would say like I know this is probably a little overused, but like you see the clips online, like David Goggins, like he's just like to I think to achieve like that level of like mental fortitude is something like I can only aspire to become.
Sure.
Like
Hmm.
that is what he's been able to do and like the way he and there's a lot of endurance athletes. I believe there's an ultra runner, she's named Sally McRae.
Yeah.
And like if you watch some of her stuff, like you'll see like they're going through this and they are destroyed. They're like their bodies can't go on. But like it's that consistency that they built over time that's in my eyes like impressive, but also ridiculous. Like
Yeah.
it's like it's insane. But to achieve that level of something is like that level of mastery in a sense that like they've literally mastered the art of like bringing their brain into like a different stratosphere that very few people can understand. So I guess like in terms of that, like a lot of the ultra runners I look up to, like Goggins, obviously, Sally McRae has like a few great videos. Nick Bear has a couple awesome ones. Like Luke Hopkins, like all those athletes, like it's immensely impressive.
That's very cool. I like that a lot.
As well
That,
as
yeah,
sorry,
go ahead.
I was gonna
No.
add as well, like having gratitude too. Like when you wake up in the morning, like be thankful, like you're like we're truly blessed to be able to move our body. And
Hmm.
there's so just unfortunately there's other people out there that can't do that. So thinking of them and understanding that this is like a privilege to be able to get up and move in the morning is something that we're both very thankful for.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. It's a balance of aspiring for more and to be continually working towards things and being grateful for what we already have. Totally agree. Like
Yeah.
that, having that balance and being grateful and aspiring for more also gives us more things to be grateful for, in my opinion, right? We get to work towards, and I know for myself, doing high school cross country, I remember our longest run was like a 10-mile run, and I remember at the end of that being like cooked and being like, I can't imagine how people actually race like a full marathon. Like that's
Yeah.
insane. And then doing the first marathon, I'm like, wow, like I'm so grateful that I can now do this because of the work that I put in the past, right? And it's all about that, like that continual work and growth into that. So, what are
That's a
some
great
things
point you
for,
make.
yeah,
I never
yeah.
thought about it like that. That's awesome. Yeah.
What are things that you feel like in your past that, were, wasn't necessarily training specifically for endurance things, but things that happened in your life that you feel like have prepared you for endurance sports, even though in the moment you would have had no idea it was preparing you for endurance sports?
Brad, you want to go or you want me to start it?
You got it. I'll go after.
All right. Yeah, no, it's a great question. Um, I think back to like, freshman, sophomore year of college. I think college is a very transformative time in your life for a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people. And I went through like my own personal struggles throughout college. Um, and I left school for a semester just to take a break because I wasn't in the right headspace. And what I learned from that and like during that rough spot, during that time period, I learned to be okay being by myself. And
Mm-hmm.
that is something that I've always like struggled with, but in the world of endurance sports, it transfers so well because there's going to be so many training sessions where you're alone. There's
Mm-hmm.
gonna be long bike rides. Like we love to train together, but we train together once a week. And like we
Mm-hmm.
try to capture once, twice a week maybe. Because we also understand the importance of working on ourselves and getting into that headspace. So I think for me, it was kind of that like freshman, sophomore year of college, we're seniors, by the way, was the time period in which like I really got to know who I was. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that being comfortable with who you are, being comfortable being alone, that transfers so well to everything endurance related.
Totally agree.
Yeah, and for me, I would say long term wise, early on in high school, uh I was on the chubbier side. I was fat. Long Ryan was too. And just going through the days where it's like you got picked on,
Mm,
when you're at a hangout, like they always made fun of you to, either boost themselves up and
sure.
just having that like that feeling of just like not being respected is what
Mm-hmm.
really got me going, and I never want to go back to that. Um and also, understanding that it was, when at that time it was kind of like you're always looking for external validation because you're getting this bad rep from other people coming at you. So it feels like, oh, you got to like do stuff to like get it externally. But obviously that got me in the gym, and I've always played sports, but now it kind of turned into validation internally. And from that, just doing stuff that in my mind makes me feel good and makes me feel like I'm doing something for myself, is what keeps me going.
That's awesome. I think that's great. Yeah, that's awesome. So, okay, I'm curious. What would be some things you would say to someone who is thinking about endurance sports? They're thinking about getting into it. They're thinking about signing up for maybe their first, half marathon or, first triathlon. What's something you would say to some of those people who are thinking about it but haven't made the decision to dive in yet?
You just gotta enter the race. Whatever race you're thinking about, enter the race and then train after. Don't start training and then be like, all right, I don't know, because your mind will play tricks on you and it'll make up a million different excuses of why you can't do it.
Yeah,
So sign up for the race, get a training regimen, do it, and that's it. Don't even look back because yeah, as I said, your mind will just throw different things at you that'll make you rethink
Yeah.
your choice.
I know me and Brad kind of have like differing approaches on this. I'm under the impression like same idea. Like I agree. Like you should go for it. Like if you want to do something, you should go for it. But like I want to highlight the importance of like being intentional. Like I think what we did with the marathon signing up under train was awesome and it gave us a huge confidence boost. But in my head, it was like looking back on it, I'm like, oh, I needed that. Um, but like I think being like super intentional as you go into these things, like you should sign up, but like make sure when you sign up then that you're prepared to make all the sacrifices that go into something like this. Because the last thing you want to do is, sign up for something and then pardon my French, but half-ass your way through the entire training. That's
yeah.
like if you're gonna do it, be intentional, do it
Mhm.
right, put in the work. and Brad would agree with that. I think his side is more so like just sign up, but like I think people need like I think there needs to be like in my eyes like we signed up for the race, but then we spent like a week or two like really planning out like how we were gonna get this done. And I think
Totally.
and I think that phase is critical for new people looking into it because a marathon feels like a tremendous task until you can break it down one day at a time.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, make it small. I agree. But as you could see, like that's what makes us a good team is because I'm like, all right, we're gonna do this. Let's just do it. Let's not even think. And he's more of the person to like take a step back. He's like, whoa, let's look at the situation first,
Sure.
and then let's evaluate. But yeah, yeah.
That's brilliant. That's super cool. That's awesome. What are some things like what are the benefits that you've already started to see from doing endurance sports that like would be the positive peer pressure you would like people towards who are like, oh, I don't know, like, they're on the edge, but maybe leaning towards not doing it.
Um, I mean, as I said before, it just brings purpose. It took like I'm now sober for coming up on 4 months.
Mm,
Like I don't feel a reason to drink anymore. I don't feel a reason to go out, wake up hungover because I know I got training and
yeah.
I will not be able to succeed with drinking. So it takes me out of that whole world and honestly being out of that whole alcohol drinking world, like it makes me just appreciate the little things in life way more and it makes me realize how good life is without alcohol. And it's just true. I know like other people say, but like experiencing it for myself, I'm like, oh my God, like this is like I feel amazing every day. Obviously, there's days where I am a little like on the downside, but like I don't like I feel good and I'm wake up and I'm like ready to run through a wall every day.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think to follow that up, yeah, so Brad hasn't drank in 4 months and I've been on the no drinking wave for about 2.5 years now. Which is crazy for a college student.
Yeah.
But I think one thing that I said to him, um, when because we've known each other since freshman year, is that like one of the things you get with like Ironman training is that sense of purpose. But like as you cut out those factors in your life that are detractors, like long-term detractors, what you realize is that, and I would say this to anyone who's like interested in like endurance sports, is like you no longer have those like super low lows, right?
Mm,
Like you might not have those artificially high highs, but you'll never have those like super low and maybe you'll have a low, but like to the point where like you're really, really like in a bad place. And endurance sports enables that. I could tell you with surefire certainty that endurance sports has helped me overcome those super low lows because it gives you that drive. It gives you that schedule, which I think is a huge problem with college students, like that there's no structure in their day.
mhm.
Um, and like I feel like I'm back in high school again, like training for wrestling, and that was like the happiest times of my life. And
Yeah.
like I'm more happy now than I've ever been. So like I think just endurance sports, if anyone wants to get into it, think about where your head's at now and think about where it can be and think about how you can reduce those low lows because I promise, like anyone listening, that that it's the greatest thing ever when
Yeah.
you can really mitigate those super dark days.
Yeah.
That's
And
awesome.
I wouldn't even argue you do sometimes when you're going through a hard workout, you do get those high highs too. You're
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Mm,
and it's not cheap dopamine. That is like legit quality dopamine. Like you just did something hard and you feel amazing. But
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's one of those things in the research I've done about dopamine and things like that, there's so much power in getting dopamine dopamine after hard work, right? And so, and they talk about evolutionary, we used to have to go out, we would hunt, the animals, so we'd be out there for hours. And then when we finally got, the kill, and we get to enjoy, some of those feasts or whatever, it's like that was where the dopamine came in. It was because of the hard work in advance, right? And now
Yeah.
because we can just grab it on our phone or we can go to the liquor store, whatever, then it's that cheap dopamine that we don't have to work very hard for, right? And so endurance sports, you get to have, I would agree, some of those same very high, dopamine, exciting, feeling really good, but it's because of the hard work you put in before,
Yeah.
right? Like, I mean, you can be excited going to a workout and you're going to have some dopamine there, but the finishing the hard workout, that's where you're like, whoa, this is awesome.
And it
Yeah.
takes you places too. It allows you to explore different places. You're running in
Mhm.
different areas, biking in different areas. Maybe you travel somewhere to like explore instead of like there's people like you travel. Some people travel some places just to like drink, but it's like the same thing. Like all the
Yeah.
clubs are the same, the bars. But when you travel, like you're experiencing the world. So
Mhm. Totally agree. Yeah, there's a difference. Experiencing, exploring the world on a bike, I agree, is one of the best ways. Like you notice things that you would never notice in a car, especially like a plane, right? Like you see the world differently, and I love that part of endurance sports. What's been the hardest thing for each of you as you've been getting into this? What is the thing that you're like, this is the beast I'm still needing to slay in endurance sports? And has been the most challenging thing for you so far?
Brad, you want to
you
go
got
or
you
I
got
got
it.
it? Yeah, I would say there's a few things. First of all, like the swimming, like at the start, definitely was like kind of a beast for me. I think like a lot of people.
Yeah.
And actually, like, I spoke with Brad about this a bunch of times, but there was like at the start of our training, we were doing like 2 to 3 swims a week. I was like, I'm just gonna get in the pool like every day until I feel
Mhm.
comfortable. And like I've really worked on like slaying that beast. I would
Mhm.
say the other thing that like maybe not like mental, but more so physical is like God, I need to do a better job like stretching. And like
Mhm.
that to me has been like a whole nother beast because like even today, like my hamstring calf, like we had an hour, 10 minute run yesterday. Like it just doesn't feel up to par.
Yeah.
And so I think it's like that compounding fatigue really that's the beast because like today I just did a swim but now I have to do a speed workout and like it's that compounding fatigue and it's like how am I gonna push through the pain or be meticulous and smart about it and get out there and get it done.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Yeah, and I think for me, it's it's understanding and allowing myself to be comfortable with the fact that I was always a lifter and
Mhm.
now this is all focused on running and running and biking and swimming. So my strength will go down and getting comfortable with that fact has been tough for me just because my whole life like I've been on the stronger side um and that's always how I train so it's a totally different way of training and knowing that I'm not going to be lifting 5 6 times a week like I've always did like I'll get like 2 to 3 workouts in and probably down the line probably less so
Mhm.
just being comfortable with that fact just a
Yeah.
different way of training.
Totally hear that. Yeah. When you're making a change like that, either way, it can be from endurance sports to, trying to get stronger or vice versa. When you're diving into something that's not your natural strength or the thing that even some people, it's not what their natural strength is, but the thing that you've prided yourself on and have gotten good at, that can be a hard adjustment for sure. Okay,
Yeah.
Yeah,
cool.
it's like a change of an identity.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it is. That's awesome. Well, cool. Okay, so we'll do just a couple minutes, but one last question that I had for you guys. What are two things that you feel like are totally overrated and underrated in the endurance sport space that you've seen so far that is something that you're like, I don't know, it feels like this is too hyped up, and something you feel like is underhyped and not enough people are talking about?
Um, that's a
A
good
good
question.
question.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is a really good question. Um, I would say like most endurance athletes, like I guess for like this is more applicable to newer people. Like if you're just getting into running, right? I think running is
Mhm.
where most people start in like the triathlon world. Um, so if you're just like getting into running, for me, it was definitely like a learning curve with like electrolytes, sodium, like that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like I I had no idea what I was doing. Like when we did the half marathon Spartan, like we were so underprepared.
Mhm.
It was a half marathon. Like we were pushing ourselves hard. And like I was like 4 miles in and it was really hot out and I started to cramp and I just like Brad had like an extra LMNT packet and like I just
Uh-huh.
like stuck that in my mouth and like ate it dry. I'm like I have no
Yeah.
idea what I'm doing.
You're
Yeah.
like a kid sucking on an ice cream pop.
Yeah, yeah. It was like I'm like chewing on powder.
Uh-huh.
So I think like when I look at something that's like it's just that like fueling aspect, which is like definitely like something people don't put enough emphasis on, particularly when they're newer to the sport. More advanced people obviously have that level of understanding. But it's so critical. Like it makes a huge difference. And then one
Sometimes
thing,
it takes a while though. I've been doing this for a long time, and just 2 years ago, I did a half. It was my first half Ironman, and I got off the bike, and immediately on mile one, I started cramping, and so I had a
yeah,
whole half marathon to run, and it was on and off cramps that like were just awful. Like at one point, I was literally laying on the ground trying to stretch it out and stuff, and there was like
Yeah.
people on the sideline like, "Are you good?" I'm like, yeah, just cramping, just trying to get it sorted. Like it was
yeah,
just wild. So it's one of those things. It can take a while to, and as you level up, like you have to learn how to do it a little bit differently. Like you can't
yeah,
do the same electrolytes for a 5K as you have to for a full Ironman. Like you have to have different game plans. So yeah,
absolutely.
anyways, but yeah, it can take a
And then
while, but once you figure it out, it feels way better.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And then one thing that I would say is overrated as I've gone into this is, I'm trying to think. Brad, do you have any input on an overrated one? That's a good question.
Um,
Yeah, what's
Overrated for me, I think would be the eating aspect of endurance.
Mhm.
Like, like I'm working, like we're moving a ton, but I think sometimes just the eating aspect of being able to eat whatever sometimes gets to my
Mm,
head, and I do eat whatever,
yeah.
and the next day, it definitely doesn't feel so great on the stomach.
Mhm.
So definitely the eating aspect. Everyone's like, "Oh yeah, just go in, just enjoy." But like this, like I've had to take a step back and like really just like tune into still like keeping a clean diet, but
Mm,
while also being able to fuel correctly and get the right amount of food intake in with the amount of
mhm.
calories I'm losing. Um,
Totally.
and then underrated, I was gonna add, is how strong your legs get from biking, from cycling.
Oh, yeah.
Like how strong they get and like how much of a different type of workout it is to your legs. Like it's not like a squatting leg day or weights. Like you're pumping your quads for hours on the bike,
Yeah.
and the leg pump is crazy, and yeah, it's just a different type of strength in your legs that I've never realized is so much different from the weightlifting.
Yeah. Totally agree.
I would say I just like this is kind of both overrated and underrated. I would say in certain regards.
Sure.
Like we did a run recently. We actually posted it on our Instagram and I did a run yesterday and it's pretty hot in Florida right now. And
Mhm.
so I would say tr heat training is both overrated and underrated.
Mm,
In terms of like maximizing capacity, it sucks. Like,
yeah.
yeah, yesterday we had an hour and 10-minute run, and it was supposed to be zone two. And like the first mile, went at like my normal zone two pace. I was 149 beats per minute. That was fine with me. And by mile two, I was averaging like 180 BPM because my body
Yeah.
couldn't cool itself down fast enough.
Yeah.
Um, so in that regard, it's insanely overrated.
Hmm.
However, the flip side of that is it's extremely underrated when you consider one, the callousing of the mind, like I talked about. Your pain
Yeah.
threshold goes up significantly from heat training. I
Yeah.
mean, the hardest workouts we've done have been the hottest workouts we've done.
Yeah.
Um, and in and also to that point, like you're building that, like your heart is like from a physiological standpoint is pumping so much more blood. You're going to increase your VO2 max through things like heat training. um and you're gonna improve your endurance. So I think it's both underrated and overrated, but I know some people love it, some people hate it.
Yeah, totally. I think there's a lot of benefit depending on the race that you're doing, especially if you're going somewhere that it's going to be hotter than normal, then it's really important to do that heat training and to adapt to it a little bit because you just for me like being in the Pacific Northwest, we have pretty tepid climate, right? So if I was going to do a race in Arizona or in Florida there, I would have to prepare in that right way to actually be able to compete and do okay, or else race day will be totally different than any training,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
yeah,
absolutely.
totally agree.
Uh,
Well, thank
Going through
you.
this, oh, sorry,
Yeah,
I
go
was
ahead.
gonna like going through this whole podcast. I realized like all like the little niche things you don't
Mhm.
realize until you actually do it and experience it. It's
Right.
it's funny. There's so
Yeah,
much stuff to endurance sports.
there really is. That's very cool. Well, thank you guys for joining. Is there any last thoughts that you would share with the audience of, just the last thing that you want to make sure that people understand as they're diving into it?
If you want to do it, do it. Don't second guess yourself. Just sign up and figure out after, but do it.
That's awesome. Love
Yeah.
that.
And I would, yeah, like basically piggybacking off that, like show up. Like you're gonna have workouts you don't want to do. Show up at the track. Put your running shoes on. That step to do, like the step of actively consciously making that decision will make sure you get it done. Like
Totally agree.
don't skip.
Yeah.
And change your mind, change your perspective when stuff gets hard. Like, work out, if it's hot, it's getting hard, change that in your mind to making that fire you up, giving you the energy to be like, this is
Mm-hmm.
hard and I'm doing it and I'm gonna get it done. Like I'm
Yeah.
ready to go. Like bring on whatever challenge you got for me, bring it on. I'm gonna take it. That's it.
Yeah. That's fantastic. Those mental tricks and the mental games are incredibly important for sure.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Perspective.
Well, thank you guys. Thank you for all the listeners who are still with us. I'm gonna be sure to link these guys' Instagrams and all the socials down below so you can go follow them because these guys are awesome. And I'm excited to hear how the Ironman goes in November. We're gonna have you back on the podcast to
Yeah.
review the race once it's done.
Yeah.
Definitely. We
Absolutely.
love to be back on. It was great
Yeah.
meeting you,
Awesome.
man.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for joining, and everyone have a good day.
See you guys. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.